Amen. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai tai tai. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai tai tai. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai 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 tai. Yai tai tai tai. Join in with us, fill the room. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai dai dai. Yai dai 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 dai.
Shabbat Shalom. It sounds so quiet in here, but there are people, and I love people after 3 years of not having people. So let's try this again. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Oh,
Shalom.
we're filled with a sanctuary while Rabbi Sapphire is the one who is greeting the congregation on Zoom, and we'll join together real soon. But while she's with the Zoom congregation, let us live people do what we do best, which is build community and build a better world through the gift of tzedakah. So it's our tradition that we invite those who are under the age of 13 to represent us. Rabbi Harper has coins for tzedakah, while the adults in our community introduce themselves to the people around you, even if it requires getting up and making a few steps. Tzedakah, anyone under 13, we have the coins.
That's right, one day more. I think we got coins right over there, one day more. Until the candles are lit, and then your bar mitzvah.
Here are more people coming. Great.
Now that we've done one last mitzvah, let's do one more. Let's pray together without any words, just sounds. Lai la lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai lai lai. Ya lai 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 lai. Ya lai 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 lai.
we still waiting for Zoom? Maddie, we are still waiting for Zoom. God, that's because they have Oren Sapphire playing guitar. Hold on one second.
I thought that was the cue. Okay.
I just want to welcome all of our visitors to Temple Beth Elohim. We're glad you're with us. I know we also have some members of the Israeli American community and the Boston Jewish community that was going to be here last night protesting, the protest that ultimately did not happen, thankfully. And so, thankfully. So after not sleeping for 3 straight days, I got that call on Tuesday night that he was not coming, and Shabbat arrived early this week for me because it was very, very stressful until late last night when the event was over. But I'll share more words about that. But quite a week, so I'm glad that some people are with us, joining us in solidarity. Let us celebrate Shabbat together. The rest, what's held the Jewish people together throughout the centuries amidst the most challenging times. So let us take a deep breath. Rabbi Harper, if you'll light the candles for us. Rabbi Sapphire, whoever has the clicker, so that we can see the blessing. Let's join together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
So last night, the protest that didn't happen, our Wellesley police were really incredible throughout the week. And a Temple member recently, an hour ago, sent me this email. He was here last night to just make sure things were quiet. So he wrote, yesterday Wellesley's chief of police, Chief Pilecki, was at TBE as part of the extensive and impressive security preparation, which was unbelievable. When it was clear that calm would prevail, I introduced myself to him and thanked him for all he and his force do to keep us safe. I often thank security-related folks, so I've heard a lot of responses. But he surprised me. He said, "You are good people." I said something of the effect, "Thank you, we try." In a heartbeat, he said, "Are you kidding me? I know how many people you help and the kinds of things you do here." Again, some vague reply from me said, "That's nice to hear. Thank you for that. And thanks again for keeping us safe." And the chief said, "I should thank you. You are good people. Keeping you safe is my privilege." So amidst the turmoil that seems to be life these days, and hate coming from us and at our children, he wrote, "It's easy to lose sight of something foundational to who we are and what we do here, that we are good people." And so with that, let us celebrate Shabbat. Yiddi Nefesh, page 128.
Yedid nefesh avarachama, Yedid nefesh avarachama, Meshoch avdecha, Eretz zonecha, Meshoch avdecha, Yai Yarutz avdecha kemo hayad yishtachaveh el mul hadarecha Yarutz avdecha kemo hayad
page 142, welcoming this day.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Yom. Bimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Yimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Beloved, come to meet the bride. Beloved, come to greet Shabbat.
Shamor v'zachor b'divurecha.
Keep and remember a single command.
Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem ultiferet ולתפילה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת Shabbat lechunecha ki bekro ha'erach merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh במחשבה תחילה לך תודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקח
stanza, awake.
התעוררי כי בעורף קומי אורי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך תודי לך תודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה יללי
If you're able, we rise and face the rear of the sanctuary and welcome Shabbat into our hearts.
בואי ושלום
Enter in peace. Enter in joy. Come.
Shabbat nekabela, Pnei Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Continuing with our call to worship, the Baruch Hu.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai.
Respond as one together.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Let's all be seated and continuing independently on page 148. Loud enough to hear our own voices, soft enough so as not to disturb our neighbor, Hebrew or English. Baruch atah Adonai
וחושך מפני אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור.
Anyone who lived in New York or New Jersey or was in Syracuse or the Berkshires and saw the yellowness of the air certainly understood the vulnerability in which we all live and the gratitude we express when night turns to day and day turns to night and it looks the way it's supposed to look. That's a blessing.
וחושך מפני אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור.
Continuing page 150, a prayer for meaning and purpose in our lives.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת אהבת תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ומנו נצליח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. Just our voices now. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. We continue with the Shema, page 153. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
The Shema continues, page 154, with these words of Torah. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Turn the page 158, as we honor and remember our people's journey to freedom.
Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Yai dai 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 dai. Dai 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 dai. Mi chamocha. Repeat after us now. Mi mi chamocha, Elohim Adonai, mi chamocha, Nedar b'kodesh, Nora Malchutecha ra'uvanecha Bokei hayam Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam Zeili Anu ve'hameru Adonai imlo Le'olam va'ed Yai lai 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 Yai lai lai la 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 Yai lai 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 la Yai lai 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 la ונאמר כי פערנאי את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
As we turn to page 161, we particularly feel this blessing this week as we join in our TBE anthem, Let There Be Love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivenu, Leshalom. Ve'ha'amitenu, shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu, sukat shlomecha. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivenu, let there be love, let there be love, and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
We turn to page 164 and we rise in body or in spirit as we turn to the Amidah, as we hold the moments that we are especially grateful for over the course of this week close to our hearts as we lift our voices together in praise.
Adonai, Sifatai tiftach. Ufiagi tehilatecha. Adonai, Sifatai tiftach. Ufiagi tehilatecha. Open up our lips so we may praise your name. Open up our hearts so we can feel our pain. Open up our souls and let our love make us whole, so we may praise your name, Adonai, Sifatai tiftach. Ufiagi tehilatecha. Adonai, Sifatai tiftach. Ufiagi tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Koneh HaKol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Le'man Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atarav lehoshia, Morid hatar, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofech olim, U'matzir asurim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'gevurot, U'mito melach, Melech memit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Continuing with the words found in the prayer book. or the meditations of the heart. When you've completed your prayer, we'll be seated. While those are concluding their prayer, let us now turn our attention to the prayer we've been reciting over these past several months for the state of Israel based on its Declaration of Independence. Let us pray together. May the state of Israel
Always be acknowledged as the birthplace of the Jewish people.
And our spiritual homeland. May it safeguard the holy places of all religions and always be a safe haven for the Jewish people. May it foster the development of the country for the benefit of all its inhabitants. May it be based on freedom, justice, and peace as envisioned by the prophets of Israel. May it ensure complete equality of social and political rights to all its inhabitants. May it guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, language, education, and culture. May it be faithful to its principles and ours. And let us say,
Ein li eretz acheret, gam im admati boeret, rak mila beivrit choderet, el orkai el nishmati, beguf koev, belev raev, kanu beiti. Lo eshtok ki hartzi shinta et paneha lo avater lahazkir la ve'ashir kan be'ozneha har shetifach et eineha. Eretz acheret, ad shetechadesz yameha, ad shetifkach et eineha.
At this moment in our service, our thoughts turn to those in our lives who are in need of healing, whether it is a healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. As we think of them, the Shabbats, we wish for them an extra measure of shalom, of peace, and of healing. If there's someone you are thinking of this evening in the room, I'd invite you to rise so that we may hear their names out loud on Zoom. I'll invite you to write their names in the chat that we may hold them in our hearts together as a community.
Former 39th President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, and his wife, the former First Lady of the United States, Rosalynn Carter, recently diagnosed with dementia.
Yaniv Merjano is an Israeli who was peacefully protesting yesterday at Minister Bokat's presence in the Park Plaza Hotel when he was thrown to the ground by the security detail and injured and hospitalized.
Names in our hearts, along with Cantor Zell and Craig Weiner. And together we join on page 371 for the words of Misha Berach.
Misha Berach, Avotenu, Mekol habracha, Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishebeirach imotenu mekol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We also gather in community to lift up our moments of celebration in the week past, our God-given moments, our Shehechianu moments. Did anyone celebrate a birthday or have a birth in the family in the last week? A big birthday for Amy? Or just a birthday? Birthdays are always big. Mazal tov. Mazal tov, Ed. A big birthday, Mazal tov to you. And a birthday for Ed. Beautiful. Other birthdays,
We get
anniversaries.
one more birthday over here.
Oh, I missed a birthday. An anniversary.
Mazel tov.
Beautiful, Mazal
Other
tov.
God-given moments.
I want to just, didn't mean to interrupt anyone else. Go for it. Yep.
Our daughter Stephanie and son-in-law Jeff are moving back home.
Mazel tov for the return of
Mazel
family.
tov.
Terry?
Yeah, got underway on the Constitution Day.
Our daughter Elizabeth is graduating on Sunday as a doctor of clinical psychology.
Beautiful.
From early intervention to William James, Doctor
Beautiful.
of psychology.
A
So
big
this is a
graduation,
season
Mazal
of
tov.
Kvelling with all the
Yes.
graduations, that's for sure. Terry? An anniversary. Susan? I couldn't hear. Double high anniversary. Mazal tov. Stephanie? You're filled with simchas.
Wow.
You got engaged.
Mazal
That's
tov.
just one more.
Mazel tov.
Birthday and an
Mazel
engagement.
tov.
Wow, wow.
Wow. Oh, yes. You graduated from pre-K. It just gets better and better. Wow. Well, we have another simcha to share tonight, an ufra, a wedding blessing. And so it is a great joy to call upon Noah and Mariah to come forward. Noah is the son of Tim Shutke and Karen Gold, and we are excited for your upcoming wedding in August in the presence of our community, a community that considers your parents very valued members and a steady presence in our synagogue. It's great to celebrate here. So I'm going to ask everyone to rise as we open up the ark. Come on up, as though you're processing on your wedding day. Come on over. Jewish wedding, the bride's on this side, groom's on this side. Here we go, perfect, right next to him. I'm gonna have you face me. This is the rehearsal for the wedding. But I get to ask for God's blessing upon you on this day in front of our community and your family who is visiting, your family who is not visiting, but a steady presence, and this is home. With these words, Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May God, who blessed our ancestors, hu yivarech et hachtan et hachala v'yatzliach et darkam asher yalchu ba mehayom v'hala, guide them on life's journey. May their marriage be a joy and a good example to all who know them. May they fashion a Jewish home worthy of praise, a secure refuge where they find tranquility during all their days. And may their love continue to inspire them and bless their family, their friends, and their entire community. May you go forth in love and laughter and life, and let us all say,
Amen.
And so a wedding, so in the Jewish tradition, you don't elope because it's a communal celebration. It should start here, even amidst people you don't even know. And we say, Simon Tov U'Mazel Tov, like this is a good sign, not just for you, but for all of us, for the world. And so we rejoice together, and now we're going to have you recess, just like the wedding day, and we're going to surround you with joy. So come on down.
Simin tov, u'mazel tov, u'mazel tov, simin tov, u'mazel tov, u'mazel tov, simin tov, u'mazel tov, simin tov, yehelanu. Simin tov, u'mazel tov, simin tov, u'mazel tov, simin tov, u'mazel tov, simin tov, yehelanu.
I want to say Mazel Tov to you, to your entire family who's come in full force, and to the extended family that are members of TB that now consider yourselves members of your family. Not only do we celebrate love and weddings and the graduation of pre-K and birthdays and beautiful accomplishments, and so let's give thanks to God with the words of Shehachianu.
Also want to wish a mazel tov to Peg and Lou Metzger on their 47th anniversary.
Thanks.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Let's say amen for all of these things.
So I was not going to speak this evening originally because I was just too tired. I had actually written a different editorial for the newspaper about protesting outside my own synagogue. But fortunately, that never had to be delivered. And so I did write down a few comments to share with you this evening, but they're half-baked at best, because this has been a crazy week. And so it's really good to just be here with you and celebrate Shabbat. For those who don't know, to fill you in, about 2 months ago, the Israeli consulate called our temple to book our beautiful building to celebrate Israel's Independence Day. And so our administrative office lovingly agreed, for after all, we're a community not with just a beautiful building, but ample parking and a good location. And besides all that, we love Israel. And so, like many years before, she said, of course, yes. The problem is that this year is not like any other year before. As many of you know, for the last 6 months, hundreds of thousands of Israelis have been protesting each and every week in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, and certainly in our own sister city of Haifa, where our partners at Or Hadash have visited and shared their experiences protesting the government's proposal on judicial reform. Now, of course, this is a topic I've addressed many times in the past several months. But last week, I received that unusual phone call. Ironically, I was actually in New York at a conference on Zionism, a conference to discuss how do we bring liberal Jews closer to Israel. when I received a phone call that there would be a protest against Temple Beth Elohim, which certainly surprised me, because on the phone they told me we were hosting one of Netanyahu's cabinet ministers. And of course I was surprised and said, "What do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about. Do you have the right Temple Beth Elohim?" And then I clicked my phone to the second page, which is not my calendar, but what we call the building use calendar. And it said rental for the Israeli consulate. And then I had a sense of what might be happening. We learned only last week that Cabinet Minister Nir Barkat was invited to the program that was rented, that would take place in the rental in our building. Now, I've shared many times why I am against the proposed reforms. Look, I recognize that there needs to be some sort of judicial reform in Israel. It seems to me that the Supreme Court could be much more diverse, representing the fullness of Israeli society. And there needs to be some tweaks in the system, and we've discussed this many times before. I don't want to do it tonight. But a strong democracy, we know, needs a strong, independent judiciary. The branch of government that we American Jews have learned to count on to protect us, a minority population, in a larger world. And as I've said before, I believe that these current proposals threaten that delicate balance. You see, a strong democracy ensures that a majority owns the legislature. The government should be decided by the majority of the people. But a strong democracy also depends on an independent judiciary that doesn't represent the majority, but instead protects the minority. And in Israel, there are minorities that need to be protected. As we know, women, the rights of the LGBTQ plus community, Palestinian citizens and residents and the members of other religions, and minorities like us, Reform Jews, who may make up 45% of American Jewry, but make up a small fraction of the Jews within Israel, and certainly need rights. We need rights for diaspora Jews who seek to visit Israel or may one day choose to become citizens of Israel. And so, when I learned of the protests, I called some of the leaders of the protest movement. And what I soon learned, like in typical Israeli society, is to call the leaders of a protest movement assumes some level of organization. So I have to say there are leaders of a protest movement, but I couldn't reach all of them, but I reached many of them, some of whom are here today, and I am grateful for their presence. And I called them and I explained that this is not a temple event. Rather, we rented the building to the Israeli consulate not knowing. And instead of being inside the building, I would stand with them outside. And I told them that I would invite our temple committees who work so hard on behalf of Israel to join them in their important work. And so I want to thank Deb Goldstein and Michael Gilman and Jeff Turk and the various Israel committees who stepped up to the plate. And I want to thank our temple leadership for supporting my position. In fact, last week before services started at 6 o'clock, I was on a Zoom call from 5 to about 5:59. So I want to thank my clergy. I had gathered a number of leaders of our own community who hold leadership in organizations like AIPAC and J Street, New Israel Fund, CJP, Yamin Ord, and our partnership with Or Hadash. We are deeply involved in the strengthening of the state of Israel. And I want to thank them for their guidance. We may not have all agreed, but together we recognize the complexity of the situation and the sensitivity. And I sought their support, and I received it. And then, after Shabbat, I called the consulate to tell them of my plan. And then, on Monday of this week, I met with their security team. And I want to thank Stephen Ashkenos, our executive director, who was absolutely extraordinary this week, and our security team, Jeff, who's out there, but he's usually here during the day. And we met with the Israel Consulate security team and the Wellesley Police Department to see how we could make all this happen. After all, this is not Boston Common. This is a cul-de-sac in the middle of Wellesley. But let's remember, Judaism honors protest. From the very beginning of the book of Genesis, Abraham protests against God. Genesis 18, far be it from you to do such a thing, Abraham says, to bring death upon the innocent. Shall not the judge of all the earth deal justly? We are a people of protest. But I wanted to meet with the security team to make sure we could do it peacefully. After all, we do depend on the Wellesley Police Department, as I read earlier those words from Joe, especially after the shootings in Pittsburgh that left us feeling so vulnerable. The police are our partners, and I didn't want to jeopardize our relationship with them. And I want to thank them all for their support this week. They turned out, there were supposed to be 2 of them, there must have been 10 of them, which is basically the whole force, I think. But they were extraordinary. And I wanted it to be a peaceful protest because we wanted to be good neighbors. Not just because we sit in a neighborhood that values us and we value them, but we're actually landlords of half the houses in the neighborhood. They're our tenants. And we wanted to be good landlords. And I didn't want to inconvenience anyone. This was not made for protests like Boston Common. And finally, I didn't want to scare our young families. When we sent the email that we were protesting, our young families actually emailed scared. Some of them were not sending their children to the temple on that day. And we needed to calm their fears. And most importantly, I wanted a peaceful protest because I didn't want anyone to get hurt. And so we met with a security team, and I walk outside like 10 feet. And the Israeli security guy, the head of the team, says to me, I just want to show you where I need the protesters to be standing. Because if someone crosses the line and charges the building, there will be bullets from 20 different directions. That's what I got. There will be bullets from 20 different directions. Now, that's not what I normally hear between sessions meeting with bar mitzvah students. And so immediately I called one of the leaders of the protest movement, Shula Gilad, who I'm grateful for. I've known Shula for 20 years. When she worked at Harvard for the Wexner Foundation and I was a fellow, we used to bring controversial speakers, ironically, here to Temple Beth Elohim. I remember once bringing a Syrian government official to Temple when Syria was allied with Iraq in the war while we were at war. And we had the Syrian government official standing outside the building chain smoking because he had never been in a synagogue before. So I've known Shula, and I called her and I said, I need to make sure this protest is peaceful. And I spoke to others, Amnon and Hagar and Gideon Argov was incredibly helpful, so I want to thank you. Because we needed to protest peacefully. And having gained some sense of security that we'd be safe, I then called the consulate. And in a very nice way, I said to them, game on. And I'm not really sure what happened after that or why, but late Tuesday evening I received a phone call that Nir Barkat had canceled. And for that, I'm really thankful. You see, this week we read in the Torah Bahalotcha. It's the Torah portion that describes the menorah that turns out ultimately becomes the official state symbol of the Jewish state. It was in 1949 that the Jewish state, here it is, commissioned Gabriel and Maxim Shamir two brothers from Latvia who had studied graphics and design in Berlin prior to making Aliyah to the Jewish state. And they designed what becomes probably the most famous Jewish emblem in the world. As you see, it's the menorah in the middle, taken from this week's Torah portion. And then they placed two olive branches along the sides. The olive branches are actually from this week's Haftarah portion in Zechariah, symbolizing peace. The menorah, of course, demonstrates Israel's continuity with the biblical kingdom and the Second Temple period. And I call your attention to the Second Temple period because the menorah is based, we don't know exactly what the menorah looked like, but the menorah they designed it on is the menorah that appears on the Arch of Titus in Rome, when Titus designs a relief of the Roman victory against the Jews and them carrying the menorah out of the temple. And the rabbis, of course, try to explain why the debate of the Jewish people. And they blame it on sinat chinam, deep-seated hatred amongst the Jewish people, interestingly enough. The blame is not on the outside, it's on the internal strife that exists on the inside. Which leads me to say, if we really care about Israel, we need to make sure that anger does not destroy it from the inside like it did 2,000 years ago. You see, I learned a lot this week, but perhaps the thing I learned the most is that we need to work together, that violence is not the answer, and that there is a tremendous distrust between so many of us and the Israeli government. I must admit that Tuesday night I was told that the minister was not going to come. I called the protesters and I said, we can't show up. I read the Israeli press all day Wednesday. It was in Hebrew, in English, on the radio, in the newspapers. Everything said Nir Barkat was not going to come. And guess what? I didn't sleep on Wednesday. Thinking, what if he shows up now that I've canceled and we've canceled the protest? That's the level of distrust that I hadn't experienced in a very long time. We have work to do. I'd like us to work with the consulate with no surprises, no threats of violence, of gunshots. I'd like us to adhere to the Talmudic maxim, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Bazeh. We are all responsible for one another because Israel is our home. And so in conclusion, I just want to thank everyone, our temple board, our leadership, and my partners in protest who are here this evening. For 2,000 years, Israel was only a dream. And now it's here only a plane ride away. We can't let it slip away. It's too important. We know that. It's too important for our people. There are more Jews living inside the land than anywhere else on this earth. But it's going to take us all, with our loud voices and varied voices, to preserve it. May it be God's will. May we walk together in peace. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Let's all rise. Facing the windows, the flag.
Do you have the text on the screen? Kol od balev penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulfatem Mizrach kadima ein lezion Sophia Olo havda tikvateinu hatikva bat shnot alpayim אותם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים להיות עם חופשי בארצנו ארץ ציון וירושלים.
We are going to stay standing for Aleinu, but I just want to say I hope that this is only one step in a partnership between us and the Israeli-American community protesting. The protests are not only to take place here, they are in Boston Common, which is much easier to get to than I was able to get here last night. We also have a program this coming Tuesday. Noah Satat, a dear friend who many have visited on my trips to Israel, who is the head of the Association for Civil Rights in Israel, will be speaking here this coming Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. And I hope you can join us as she shares words about the fight for democracy in Israel. I also hope that obviously this sermon is addressed to the consulate as well, which is our hope that we don't surprise each other and we work together to support the state of Israel. So, week. So thank you for you. So thank you. We look forward to continuing. So thank you. Let us continue on page 586. The words of Aleinu are a prayer that tomorrow will be better than today.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We continue on page 598. I apologize for Rabbi Safrai going to my office, and I'm suddenly in charge of this, and I'm not very good at that. Thanks. For the words of Mourners Kaddish, it's our custom to invite the mourners in our midst. And so if you are observing a yard site, the anniversary of the passing of a loved one, or currently within a period of mourning, having lost a parent during the past 11 months, or an immediate family member during the past 30 days, you invite to rise and recite the names of those individuals you're remembering.
My wonderful and outstanding
we miss anyone? If not, then in support of the mourners in our midst, if we can all rise. Together, Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamad yirach rotei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayachon u'yorechon v'chayed chol Beit Yisrael. V'agalav izman kari v'imru.
Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lalmei amaya. Yitzbarach.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yithromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzhalal shemei t'kudusha
Brichu.
Le'ela minko birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata Damiran v'yama v'imru.
Amen.
Hey shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Announcements? Anything specific?
Summer Institute is already underway with our first class, and we have a number of really phenomenal opportunities to learn over the course of the summer, including 2 travel opportunities, one to New York and one to the Berkshires. If you're interested, please come talk to me, or you can send me an email, but just be aware that registration will be coming up soon for those. And otherwise, annual congregational meeting is this week.
Get out the vote. We need your vote for the budget. So there is the congregational meeting. Next week, there is a congregational gathering after services, just dinner to celebrate the year, thank outgoing leaders, welcome incoming ones, celebration. So I hope you can join us. Then the 23rd, we begin summer services and we welcome 2 new rabbis. And so I hope you'll join us there. Welcome them especially because I will be gone for 2 weeks, fortunately, actually going to Israel and Bahrain and lots of other places. So
I'm learning things in real time. It's great.
So once again, to our Israeli guests, we're so glad you're with us. Let's now call up Aaron and Lacey and Eli, who are going to lead us tomorrow. Come on up to lead us in Kiddush.
Lacey, come on up. Yeah. All right. Ooh, we are.
Oops. Oh boy. Oh, here's 1 cup. We'll do. Well, you will hold. You will represent everybody. Oh, come on up, Aaron. All right, page 123 on 3. Give us a good Baruch, but it's not here, so let's give you the right page. Let's join together with these folks who are going to lead us so beautifully. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat chodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishi ki hu yom tefillah lemikra'e kodesh Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Ki banu v'charta Yotanu kidashta Mikol hamim V'shabbat kodshecha V'yahava u'vratzon Yinchaltan Nice and high. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat.
You who gets to hold the cup gets to take the sip.
You got it, Eli?
Take the sip. Awesome. Lacey, will you and Aaron uncover the challah? Both take it. Pull. Excellence. And let's lead us in the motzi. You ready, guys? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem
min haaretz b'tei avon.
Everyone can take a bite, take a piece if you're allowed to eat gluten and challah. Because as a community, we want to say to the three of you and your families,
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbos, everyone. Let's go outside.
Lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai 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 ya lai lai ya lai lai ya lai ya lai lai ya lai 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.